Good morning. I'm Andy Myers at Weiss Research.
I'm Jen Amos, and this is your morning market alert for Tuesday, July 19th. Investors seem to be putting aside their concerns about the global economic recovery for the time being, and instead focusing on corporate earnings. The financial sector may get the most attention today, as some of the biggest names in the industry report their quarterly results. Bank of America posted a net loss of $8.8 billion versus a profit of more than $3 billion in the same period last year. The results reflected B of A's efforts to resolve mortgage-related costs, including its exposure to Countrywide Financial. But credit costs did drop, and sales and trading revenue grew, along with fees from asset management and investment banking. That's pushing Bank of America shares modestly higher in the pre-market. Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo are also out with their results this morning, and we'll bring you those numbers after the opening bell.
Overall, this is one of the busiest days of the quarter on the earnings calendar. In addition to those financial firms, we're getting results from two of the world's biggest brands, which also happen to be members of the Dow Industrials. Coca-Cola reported an 18% jump in its second quarter profit, topping estimates, and revenue grew by 47% thanks to volume growth across all markets. Coke said that its productivity initiatives put in place 4 years ago are on track to exceed its target of $500 million in cost savings. Shares of Coca-Cola are gaining about 1% on the news. Johnson Johnson is also set to open higher. Its earnings fell nearly 20% due to restructuring, recall and litigation costs, and higher spending on overhead and research. But the results still beat expectations.
The technology sector may also be in focus today. IBM kicked things off with its quarterly report after yesterday's closing bell. Big Blue posted an 8% gain in profit on a sharp increase in sales of computer hardware and software. Both IBM's top line and bottom line numbers beat expectations, and the company raised its earnings outlook for the full year. Shares of IBM are rising nearly 2% on the news. After today's closing bell, we'll hear from two more tech heavyweights, Apple and Yahoo. And keep an eye on shares of Cisco this morning. It announced plans to lay off about 6,500 workers in a restructuring. That number includes more than 2,000 employees who are taking a voluntary early retirement. The plan also entails a 15% reduction of people at the level of vice president and above. Cisco is set to open modestly higher on the news.
Today's strong earnings news seems to be spurring a bit of confidence in the U.S. and global economy and bringing back investors' appetite for risk. That, of course, means gains for stocks, but it's also helping energy prices. Right now, crude oil is rising back around $97 a barrel. Meanwhile, gold is holding steady after reaching a new record high above $1,600 an ounce yesterday. The gain in most commodities today coincides with a decline in the dollar against other major currencies. The euro in particular is showing some strength, as investors await a summit of finance ministers on Thursday. Ahead of that meeting, the cost of insuring debt issued by peripheral Eurozone governments is falling back from record levels. Yields on Italian and Spanish bonds have been surging recently on fears of contagion from the Greek credit crisis. That's the latest from Weiss Research. We'll be back after the opening bell with all the market-moving news, including a reading on June housing starts.